All right, I think we're live. Hi there, I am Drew Badger, the English Fluency Guide and founder of EnglishAnyone.com, and welcome to another live video here on YouTube. This should be an interesting video. We'll wait for a few people to come in, make sure the chat is working. So if you're here, let me know where you're from or why you're learning. That'll help me help you, but this is just a good thing. Make sure the chat is working as well. It always takes a while for YouTube to notify people. But I'll get right into the lesson today. So I wanted to make this video. All right, chat is working. Hi, Yasser, nice to see you there. So the reason I wanted to make this is because enough people in comments have said I look like Tom Hanks. Really. And so I thought, actually, this would be a very interesting thing to talk about because it reveals something interesting about fluency. So hopefully you will enjoy this video. So the basic idea, or I guess something I noticed that's very interesting. So many learners from different countries or whatever, if they say they look like, or say I look like Tom Hanks, it's a pretty common thing. I've seen like Forrest Gump and Saving Private Ryan and quotes like that in comments. But what's interesting is that I don't think I've ever heard that from people in the United States. So nobody, I mean, maybe one person, maybe, but in general, nobody says I look like Tom Hanks. And this isn't like a good or bad thing if whatever, maybe you think Tom Hanks is a good looking guy or not, doesn't really matter. But the basic idea is that it's interesting to see lots of people from various countries who say I look like Tom Hanks, even though, people in my own country would not say that. Let me make sure I got my microphone working here. Maybe. No, are we not working today? It's always got to be some kind of issue. Let me see here. All right. We should be looking like that. Yes, Tom Hanks. All right, again, make sure everybody can hear me because I don't know if sound was coming in properly before. But anyway, so I'm Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide. And the reason I'm making this video is because I have had lots of comments from learners who say I look like Tom Hanks. So why am I making this video? Again, I thought it would be an interesting thing to talk about specifically because it affects your fluency. So anyway, most people in the United States would not look at me and think I look like Tom Hanks. Maybe a few would, but most would not. But it reveals something very interesting about how we all get fluent. And so here's something like, imagine me, I've been living in Japan for many years. Before I came to Japan, I can maybe even before I came to Japan, I was pretty good at telling Chinese versus Korean versus Japanese by looking at people. But I know many people, especially in the United States, they think lots of people look like Ichiro, in Japan, even though he has a very unique looking face. So this is Ichiro Suzuki, the baseball player. And what it reveals is that how kind of nuanced and deep of a connection or knowledge or understanding you have about something really determines how well you can talk about it or how well you know that thing. So just as an example, I want to compare the people who think I look like Tom Hanks versus the people who do not think I look like Tom Hanks. So the people who think I look like Tom Hanks, they would, if you put us next to each other, you would probably notice some pretty big differences. And I don't have a picture of him right here to do that. But the point is that the deeper you get or the more familiar you get with looking at people, you start to notice those differences. It's like if we, look at different animals or something, and it's hard for humans to tell them apart, but each of those animals knows the difference, from like this horse and that horse or something like that. So just to put this in the context for language learners, I thought I would give kind of a surface level language lesson and then more of a deeper level, kind of the way you would actually understand something like a native. So I'm going to cover some vocabulary because usually what people have is they have a very surface level knowledge of something. So they have a surface level, a kind of basic understanding of something, and then they wonder why they can't speak. So the same person who might look at me and think, oh, that looks like Tom Hanks, like another person who really understands the differences between even two people who might look similar. Now I look closer to Tom Hanks than maybe Shaquille O'Neal or something. But you can look at still the differences and see why a lot of people would not say I look like this person. So it's interesting. It's more like how familiar you get with the vocabulary. So let me give you a basic vocabulary lesson to explain this and kind of show why this is a very interesting thing about fluency. So I'll just put, let's see, I wrote down a couple of verbs here, just a couple of words. So let's see, we got play, go, eat, run, lose, stay, commence, and reverse. Okay, so here's how a regular English lesson, and this is not just for the English language, almost everybody teaches any language this way. But what the teacher will do, they will give you a bunch of words like this, and then either we will give you a translation of like one word into the other language, or we will give you a basic definition and then maybe an example or something. So let's do that. So we begin with the word play. This is something you could go to a park and play, or maybe you could even play an instrument. So yesterday I played basketball. So a very simple lesson. Here we go. Yesterday I played basketball. Next is go. So you hear I'm pronouncing the word for you. I say go. So yesterday I went somewhere, or I will go somewhere tomorrow. So go means to move from one place to another, to go. Now we have eat, and that is like put some food in my mouth. Again, this is a very basic, easy definition of the word eat. And maybe tomorrow I will eat, tomorrow I will eat a cake for my birthday. Tomorrow I will eat a cake for my birthday. Next we have run. Now the word run, it just means, you're running with your legs on the ground and you're trying to move quickly, and it's faster than walking. All right, so I'm walking, but now I move faster than that and I'm running. Okay. Next is lose. So this is just the opposite of win. So maybe I will lose the baseball game tomorrow, or I lost a baseball game yesterday. So the other team win and I lost. Next we have stay. Maybe I will stay at a hotel tomorrow. I will stay at a hotel tomorrow. So this just means to be at a place. Maybe you're staying somewhere overnight, or you are staying someplace for the weekend. And then we have commence, which is a more advanced verb than we have for these other ones up here. It just means to start, to begin doing something, to commence doing that. Like I just commenced this video, so we've been talking for about 8 minutes now. And then we have reverse. So reverse means to go one place and then turn around and go the opposite direction. So I'm walking this way and then I reverse and go back this way. Reverse. Now, if I ask most English learners, do you know what all of these mean? And when I say most English learners, I mean most of the people who watch my videos. I think almost everybody would know all of these. And so they would say, oh, okay, I know play, I know go, I know eat, I know lose, I know stay and commence and reverse. All right? But do you really? That's the question. Now, again, this lesson that I'm giving here, this is a very surface lesson. So maybe some of you know all of these words or some of them. Most of these are pretty common. Commence is probably the most advanced of these. Again, like a child would know play, go, eat, run, lose. Maybe stay, the last three, or maybe a little bit more difficult for children because they're less common. But I haven't really taught you anything. I'm putting the words up here on the whiteboard. I'm giving you a basic example. If this were an English lesson in your native language, like a regular ESL lesson, maybe I'm giving you a translation, like I would give you a translation in Japanese of all of these words. Okay? So but this is a very surface lesson. I'm not going deep into any of these things at all. And even if you know all these, my guess is you probably don't know all of the varied and deeper and nuanced meanings of all of these words that natives really use. All right, I'll give you an example in just a moment. But the important point here is like looking at all these words, and when you say you know a word like this, like, yeah, I know play, I know go, I know eat, I know all of these words. It's kind of like saying I look like Tom Hanks. It's like, yeah, like he looks like Tom Hanks. Like, really? You really think he looks like Tom Hanks? Like, if you look at it closely, you look at these two people, now they might look similar or more similar than somebody else, but how really, like how detailed or how nuanced are you looking? Like, do they have the same eye color, is the same nose shape, the same height, the same look, or even the same voice? So again, this is a surface level explanation of something, and learners, even if they know all of these, are usually not prepared in conversations even when they hear these words, because they will hear them used in different ways. So let me give you now a deeper meaning of one of these, or kind of go deeper into giving you a much better lesson that's much more memorable. It will make you feel much more confident about using these, and you will think, wow, like it's just a much more interesting and valuable lesson that actually builds your fluency. So we'll just take lose here. We're just going to focus on one word. Now, even if you think, yeah, I know lose, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of uses of it that are related to, you know, various different things that you could use in many different situations. But you will see, wow, like now my understanding of lose is actually much stronger, and I feel much more confident about using the word and for lots of different ways of using it. So we're going to cover, and you can put some of these in the comments as well if you can think of any uses of lose that I did not add, but let's just go through a couple of them. So the first is a basic thing, like lose your keys. So you could lose anything, really. Maybe I'm walking around and maybe I had a marker or my keys or something, and now, oh, where did it go? I don't know what happened to my keys or my marker or something. I lost them. I lost my keys or I lost my marker, okay? So something I used to have and now I do not. Something I used to have and now do not. So I lost my keys. Again, if you think of anything as I start covering these different examples, you can just post them down in the comments. I'll go back and answer different questions after I go through these. So you lose your keys. Can you think of anything else that you can lose? Can you think of anything else that you can lose? I'm trying to get you to think more like a native, and that's why I'm going to cover a bunch of expressions and different ways of using lose right now, all right? So if you think of anything, put it in the comments. So next we have lose, as I gave the example before about losing a game. So maybe I'm playing Othello or chess or something, and I lost the game. So I might lose a game. Now you might even probably have heard these before. Hopefully you've heard these examples before, but I will give you some more that maybe you have not. All right, so we got lose a game, lose your keys. How about lose weight? Yes, so Maya says lose your phone, same kind of idea. So lose your keys, lose your phone, lose your wallet. So any kind of physical thing that you might lose, all right? To lose weight, to lose weight. Now, lose weight just means, okay, I'm getting thinner, I'm losing weight. Yep, so you lost your pencil, the same thing. So any kind of little physical object, we can talk about having something and then not having it anymore. I lost it. I misplaced it. I don't know where it went, all right? But when you lose weight, like if you haven't seen someone in a long time and they say, wow, like it's, you lost weight. Like, did you lose weight? You often hear this question, did you lose weight? Did you lose weight? Did you lose weight? So again, it's not like I took it off my body and left it somewhere. It's, it just goes wherever it goes, but I lost some weight. Yeah, I lost some weight. I lost some weight. Lost some weight. So maybe I was 100 pounds before, now maybe I'm 95 pounds, so I lost my weight. Yep, so another idea, so lose your knowledge. So knowledge is a hard thing to lose. Yep, lose your wealth. So if you lost your money, again, same kind of idea. I might lose my money, physically lose my money, or if I have a big bank account and suddenly, all of my stocks are going down. Oh no, I'm losing my wealth. I'm losing my wealth. So knowledge is more difficult to lose. It's possible. Yep, you could lose your friend. So here we have actually two different meanings of this. Yep, you could lose your mind too. I lost my mind. I lost my mind. So if you have a friend or maybe some family, so you could lose someone, and this is even like two different ways of thinking about this. Let's say I go to the mall, I'm at a department store with my family, and one of my children gets lost. One of my children gets lost. So I might lose my child physically. I don't know where they are. I've lost them. Okay, so maybe just like this, like you lose your keys, you could lose your child as well. But you can also talk about losing someone like they died. So if a friend of yours dies, you might lose a friend or a family. We lost our great uncle 2 weeks ago. So we lost them. Now people understand I don't mean like at the mall or something, but there is actually a pretty, just on this particular usage of lost, there's a famous comedian named Norm Macdonald. He actually died last year, I think. So we lost Norm Macdonald last year. But he was telling a joke about how he had met someone. Actually, no, who was that? Bob Saget. Now, Bob Saget is another comedian, and he was telling a story about how he met some kind of famous hero, like someone that he really liked. And Bob Saget said, yeah, the guy had just lost his son. The guy had just lost his son. And so he's telling this whole story, and he's explaining that, and then Norm Macdonald kind of comes in at the end of the story, and he says, when you met that guy, I found your son. So he's using these two different meanings of the word in the same joke. All right. So just to make that clear, Bob Saget was telling a story about a guy whose son had died. All right. So he had just lost his son. That's what he said. But Norm Macdonald says, hey, I found your son. and you should watch, if you search on YouTube, you can find this joke. But it's actually, it's a weird kind of dark humor, but very funny as Norm Macdonald comes in at the end of the joke or at the end of the story and says, I found your son. So he's talking again, these two different meanings of lost. All right? Two different meanings of lost. All right, so we've had a few more. We've got lost an opportunity. You might lose an opportunity to do something, to lose an opportunity. See if we can fit a few more on here. You could lose your temper. To lose your temper becomes becoming very angry about something. You get very passionate. Maybe you start, you're getting frustrated. You're driving your car and you have to keep stopping and starting. You're in a traffic jam. You get very angry about that and you start yelling at people. You're losing your temper. Losing your temper. So you're becoming kind of uncontrolled. So you can talk about losing control. Losing control. All right, Alfonso says, lose your money. Again, the same idea. All right? And you could also lose your way. If you personally become lost, you're walking around like you become lost. I'm lost. You can be physically lost, like I'm walking around in the woods and, I've lost my way. I've lost my way. Or a group of people, like we have lost our way. And in the same way, we have these different meanings of it. We have like lost our way physically, like we don't physically know where we are, or we could talk about maybe spiritually or mentally, like the community has lost their way. It's like they lost faith. They lost faith in something. So they don't believe in it anymore, or they don't feel very strongly about that. They're feeling unconfident about something. So you might lose your confidence in the same way. To lose your confidence. All right? So what do we notice differently about these two kinds of lessons? The first one, it's teaching you some vocabulary, but you will probably forget most of these, or maybe you learn some of them. Even if you remember these words, you will likely not be prepared for all of these different things, especially if you don't hear natives using them in all these different ways. The important thing here is this is where we're talking about one thing, so we're going to focus on one word, and we really want to understand it very well. All right? It's the deeper understanding that really makes, like all of these different uses of it, you really start to understand what lose means. And you're thinking about it like a native, rather than trying to just translate something or get a definition of the word. Does that make sense? So the reason I thought about doing this is, again, people think I look like Tom Hanks, and like, yeah, I guess maybe I kind of look like Tom Hanks, but that's like a very kind of surface level of looking at me and thinking I look like Tom Hanks, when almost nobody in the United States would say that about me. Maybe a few people, but not many. I've never heard that growing up, maybe one time. All right, so that's a surface level understanding of something, and when people say they know something, do they really know it? All right, this is like really knowing the vocabulary over here, and this is just getting a surface level understanding of something. Yep, it's possible to lose hope. Excellent. So the same idea. So you're starting to think more like a native. And so the great thing about this is, even in a conversation, even if you didn't know like all of these, you don't have to think like can I lose this or can I lose that? Like, you probably can. Because you're thinking about it like a native. Like, it's not just losing your keys. You could lose hope. You could lose confidence. You know, like the company or maybe some group of directors or people, they lose confidence in the president. So maybe they don't think he's a good leader anymore. They lose confidence in that person. You might lose confidence in yourself. Or I lost my confidence. I lost my mojo. Joe. I think there is a whole Austin Powers movie about him losing his mojo. Mojo is like your special quality, or your like ability to do something, your talent, your mojo. Oh no, I lost my mojo. So maybe you're doing something very well and then suddenly you like can't do it anymore. Oh no, I forgot how to do something. You know, like you lost knowledge of something, or you lost your skill, you lost your ability. Okay? Your mojo. And all of these things you learn as you focus on vocabulary. And the point is, this is the deeper lesson, and this is the shallow one. So when you think you know something, or when you say you know something, do you really know it? Do you really know it? So often learners will tell me, like, yeah, I know all this. I know all these words. And I say, really? Do you know all of these words? And can you do that for all of these? If you can do that, then you can become fluent very quickly. All right? But this is the key here. So not looking at it just from a surface level, but really going deep into the vocabulary and actually learning that really well. Now, this is one form of naturally varied review. Very good. Josevaldo? Yeah, to lose touch. Now, you could lose touch with a person, like we don't keep in contact anymore. So I had friends back in the United States, and I haven't spoken with them in a while. We lost touch. Sometimes you lose touch with people after you haven't been seeing them in a while, to lose touch. Or I could talk about losing touch in the same way I lost my mojo. Like, I'm losing touch with reality. So I think there are little aliens and stuff all around me. I'm losing touch with reality. I'm losing my connection. So I'm losing myself, you know. These are all different examples, but each one of them helps you understand the meaning of lose better. And the point is not to use a translation to connect any of these words with a translation. It's to really understand the vocabulary so well by getting lots of different examples of it. And this is one example of naturally varied review. All right. So in addition to this, you can also hear these different examples used by different speakers. So not just me, you hear on a TV show or on a radio program or any one of another places that you might hear it. Claudio asks, what is you mean synonym? Synonym for mojo? What's a synonym for mojo? You could say lose your cool or lose your, probably talent or kind of unique ability or like your love of life. There's like even mojo itself has kind of a broader use. And you will understand the word mojo better as you start looking at even more examples of things. It's not really slang though. No. All right. Is everybody getting this though? Everybody getting this? When you say you know something, do you really know it? When you say you know something, do you really know it? So I would encourage you to go deeper. So if you want to learn more about like any of these examples, you could even put mojo into Google and then see what you get. Like, what does mojo mean? What could we be talking about? Would be possible to learn just listening. I'll come to that in just a second, but I want to make sure everybody understands this point. Very important. So when students say that I look like Tom Hanks, it's like on a surface level, yeah, we maybe look a little bit similar. But the people who know the nuances, they know the differences, the deeper looking at two people and like, oh wow, they actually look very different. All right? So if you think I look like Tom Hanks, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I just thought it was interesting that enough people said that okay, it's a lot of people make that same kind of mistake with how they learn. And it's really just like saying that they know something when they really don't. All right? And so again, like you can have a surface level understanding of vocabulary, but then struggle in conversations because you don't have this deeper level of understanding. So the deeper you go into the language, and notice we did this with just one word, lose. So I'm not trying to teach you 50 verbs or something that have no relation to each other really in one lesson. That would be a waste of time. All right, but I will pick something that like you can see obvious connections and see how these things work together. All right. Weibo, could I demonstrate how to learn such an abstract word such as oblivion? Oblivion. What about the verb to miss? Yeah, so that's another thing. And again, like we could do this with pretty much any vocabulary. So oblivion, you would see lots of, like examples about using the word oblivion, but I would again look for different varied examples of that thing. So you would even go on just a Google search or go type in the word oblivion and do like a Google image search and see what you get. And it's like oblivion is like, it's almost like timelessness or emptiness, but it could be a couple of different things. And so I encourage you to look at something like that. And so even an abstract idea, the more examples you get of that thing, the better your fluency becomes. And so all of these things are developing a network in your mind that really helps you understand things. Ellen says, Konnichiwa, I would like to talk to you, so let's see. So I keep in touch. Yeah, very good. Yeah, so keep in touch. So if I'm talking with someone, keep in touch. Don't lose touch. Don't lose touch with me. All right, I think this makes sense. I'll go back and answer questions now. If you have anything new, let me know. Let me start at the beginning over here. Let's see. So hello from Ecuador, Brazil, Dominican Republic, India. Oh, my favorite part of my Sunday. Lucas, you're too kind over there. What does mustn't grumble mean? So must not grumble. Well, grumble just means you're complaining about something. Like it's like, I don't want to go to this. You're kind of grumbling to yourself. You're not really speaking clearly so people can hear you. Usually like kids, their parents says, why don't you, clean your room? And the kids are like, I don't want to clean my room. And so you can't hear it very clearly. They're grumbling like that, to grumble. All right, konnichiwa. Yes, and so we've got some good examples. Lose my phone, lose my mind. Love and respect from Pakistan. Sir, I learned a lot from your teaching. Glad to hear it. Mohammed. And Gertrude says, lose my pencil. Yep. Pakistan, please, teacher, what is the best method to assimilate connections in the speeches? So this is it. You focus. The point is to go deeper in the level or deeper into the language, because fluency doesn't come from building a larger vocabulary. So notice the difference here. There are more words, but this one actually covers more situations. Okay? So we could go into all these different things. I could spend an hour talking about each one of these things, and there would still be more to talk about because you always need more review. All right, it's the review that gets you fluent. And now you should have a much better understanding of the word lose. And because of that, you will feel much more confident using it in conversations. And you will even use it in new ways. Maybe none of these examples. Maybe you lost something else. But you feel confident saying that, and natives understand what you're saying. Okay? And the great thing, really the best part about this, is you can do this all by yourself. So you got all of this understanding of the vocabulary without you having to speak. So some kind of basic truths about fluency. Number one, having a larger vocabulary doesn't make you a fluent speaker. It's not like, oh, I know 1,000 words and now I'm a fluent speaker. Really, it's even just knowing a few words, but you can use them really well, that makes you a fluent speaker. All right? And you can do this all by yourself. It's just about getting the right input. If you can find more of this, maybe you're hearing the word lose from me, or you're hearing it in, a radio show or a TV program, or you read it somewhere else, okay? But you can do this like anything you want to go into. And notice where people might think, okay, I know the word lose. Why are you still talking about lose? It's do you really know the word? Can you really use it? Can you understand all of these examples? If you can, great. Then that means you're fluent in this word. But knowing the word lose, it's not just win or lose, it's all of these different things. So you can talk about losing an opportunity, losing your keys, losing time. Oh no, I'm losing time. I'm spending too much time talking about this. So I'm losing time talking about lose. Okay? It's all of these different examples that really help you understand something. And so we have, again, one word, but all of these different situations in which we can use the vocabulary. I'm losing my mind. I lost my child somewhere. Oh no. Or maybe they actually died. I lost them. Okay? I'm losing my confidence, losing touch, losing faith, losing wealth. All right? Let's go back, make sure we got all these. Come on, YouTube. Why does it always sends me all the way back to the end of these over here? Now I have to stand here with my finger on my phone. All right, so we got lose mind, lose confidence, lose a friend, lose a doll. Yep, lose an opportunity. Elena says, again, I'm about to go to sleep. Why don't you try to do this class at different times so all of us would have different chance to chat with you? I want to listen to you, but I'm sleepy right now. Yes, I think probably in the future I will try doing these at different times. This has just been when it's convenient for me now. Plus I make all of these available so you don't lose them later. You don't lose your chance to enjoy the vocabulary lesson. Possible to lose hope. Important word, first time heard. For understanding songs in English, do I have to look for the song lyrics? Yes, Alfonso. If you don't understand them, then you should look up what they are. I do the same thing. Again, let's see. Can you explain more examples about the... Oh, okay, we did that already. Why I understand everything in this video, says Somo. Because I'm an awesome teacher. Really what I'm doing is, number one, I'm using a clear voice. Number two, I'm not using any difficult vocabulary. Number three, I'm really going into detail about things to make sure you understand them. All right? So this is why only having my voice is not even enough to get fluent. So you really should be listening to native speakers using these examples as well. So this is what we do in Fluent for Life. We want to give you lots of examples, hundreds of different, I don't know how many. I think we have at least, probably 100 more different native speakers that you listen to from all over the world talking about different things like this. So it's really training you to have a conversation with lots of different examples, because that's how you get fluent. The fluency doesn't come from learning more vocabulary. It comes from going deeper. And from that, now you can talk about all kinds of things with just the word lose. Isn't that cool? With just one word, look at all these different examples we had. And you're also getting a stronger connection with these other words too, like losing control, losing contact, losing your mind, losing your emotions. All these different things you can now understand to lose. All right, make sure I didn't skip anybody up here. All right. Except losing my money. Yeah, okay, we got those already. All right, Eduardo says, would it be possible to learn just listening? Yes, and I know some people say like, listening is the key. Really, understanding is the key. So it doesn't matter. I don't know why people say you should just listen to the language when that's not how natives learn. Natives don't learn by only listening. Natives learn by, you think natives are doing this? They cover their eyes, or they don't taste or smell anything in order to get fluent. They don't touch anything. Natives want to get as much input as possible and in different ways. So you want to see something to help you understand it better, or taste it. So if I try to explain to you the difference between an orange and an apple, it's much easier if you just taste the apple. But if I say, oh, you only have to use listening, it's like, okay, I'm going to listen to the orange and listen to the apple. It doesn't make much sense. So you want to be doing anything that a native would be doing. These are the same things that you do when you're learning your native language. All right. And let's see. Anna says, please, teacher, what is the best method to assimilate the connections in speeches? Okay, I think I answered that all right. Did I? No, I think I did. Yeah. So it's about making connections. The connections are the thing that helps you speak. All right. And well, let's see. Again, Sham says, love you, Drew. Glad to hear it. It's a possibility. Okay, we got that one too. All right. I apologize if I'm reading some of these again. Let's see. Give more examples, please. Even more examples of lose. Fanny says, I love this class. What do you suggest to pass from B2 to C1? If you're trying to pass like a specific exam, I would focus on like whatever the vocabulary or things you need for that. But if you're just talking about raising your level, it's almost always going to be just more review. That's the thing that really stops people from learning. So they think they know something, so they stop learning. They think they know something, and so they stop learning. And so it's really like part of this is most teachers are just giving a very surface level understanding of vocabulary. They don't go much deeper into things like this. Again, this is one example of naturally varied review. There are many. But this is just one where we're going to take one word and really focus on it and really help you understand it like a native. So the more you learn new things like a native, the faster you get fluent. If you just keep learning more words, but you're translating them or only getting definitions, it will be much more difficult for you to go from a passive vocabulary to an active one. All right? So yes, connections are the key. This is how the brain works. This is how you learned your native language, and it's how you will get fluent in English as well. Let's see. All right, I think I got that. Could you demonstrate? All right, I think that we got that. Give more examples. Hello from Brazil, from Canada. Hello from Canada. How can I keep prosody smoothly? What do you mean by that? Prosody smoothly. Explain what do you mean by that? Awesome examples, man. I really found interesting your idea. I'm going to give it a try. Yeah. Remember, this is how you get fluent in your native language, and it's better to not even really think about fluency. This is really more like taking something you're interested in and learning more about that thing. So if you have a hobby or your job or something and you want to like really become a master at that thing, you spend a lot more time learning about that specific thing. So for me, if I'm learning gardening in Japan, then I'm learning a lot. I learn about even different kinds of moss. There's like different varieties of moss. It's such like a small, basic thing. But again, on a surface level, you just have moss. But on like a gardener is thinking like, okay, we've got all these different kinds of moss and how they deal differently. So you can't just use any moss anywhere. You have to use a specific kind in the right place or it will probably die. All right. So lose my religion. Yep, there you go. Konnichiwa again. Greetings from Brazil. Thanks for excellent work. You are awesome. I got confused when Americans use anachronisms in news or radio program. It makes me lose track. Yep, you can say lose track as well. Yep, so if you're... acronyms. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Acronyms. Yeah, so that's another thing that you will learn as you will hear Many new things are being created all the time, especially as the language itself kind of degenerates over time. So people are creating new words, but also people are, especially if they're typing on their phone, then people just, they'll write a word like LOL, which means laughing out loud. But some people now will say this in a conversation. When I was younger, people were not using the word they were not saying LOL, they would write that maybe, but they're not actually doing that. All right? LOL. All right. So let's say Shariar, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Are you really Tom Hanks or does he just look like you? Oh, that's right. Boom. Yes. So you could say I look like Tom Hanks. You could. That'd be kind of a surface level way of saying it. But if you go deeper and really compared us, you'd be like, wow, they don't really look alike at all. Again, it's just going from surface to deeper. And as you go deeper into something, this is where the fluency really comes from. It's the people who know the nuances and the subtle differences about the language, that they know all of these different examples, and then they can really feel confident about using something. So fluency is not coming from learning more. It's coming from going deeper into vocabulary and getting more examples. Again, this is one example of naturally varied review. So you can go deeper into vocabulary. You can go deeper into listening as well. Pronunciation is the same thing. So if I hear 10 different people say the word lose or pronounce any of these words or say all of these phrases, I'm going to be much more confident about hearing those things in conversations, even at native speed. Okay, so it's more, and it's all about the input. It's not about you speaking or trying to learn more words, all right? So if you're trying to learn more, but you're not actually using this vocabulary fluently already, then stop doing that, all right? This is why you can get fluent without studying more, because if you already know a lot, but you can't speak fluently, then you don't need to keep learning more. I've lost my heart these days. What does that mean? Yeah, to lose heart. Again, instead of saying lose my heart, we would say you lose heart. Heart means, in this case, maybe you're kind of losing confidence, or you lose your desire to do something, or you don't feel, maybe, I guess a better example would be I've lost heart in, let's see, what's a good example? Let's say there's a political party, just to give that example. So they keep losing again and again, and people are kind of losing heart in that organization. So they feel like I've lost heart. I don't believe in them anymore. I don't feel confident in them. So it's kind of a range or a general grouping of things like that. But to lose heart in general means that. So you're losing your confidence, or you're losing your love of something. I don't really care about something so much anymore. I've lost heart. Typically, heart, is that really Tom Hanks? See, and it's, if you think if you're asking seriously, is that really Tom Hanks? It's yeah, you have a surface level understanding or idea about who Tom Hanks is. But if you look at a picture of me and Tom Hanks at the same time, I bet Tom Hanks would not even say that. He would say, nah, that guy doesn't look like me at all. What are you talking about? I do enjoy some Tom Hanks movies, though. So I drew, if you look at the thumbnail for this, I drew the Wilson volleyball from Castaway. I enjoyed that movie. All right, let's see. And Gansham says, should I use slang or not? Yesterday I saw a video of Stephen Kaufman who said not to use slang in any situation. What do you think? I don't know. What kind of advice is that? That sounds just dumb. I mean, it's like saying should I use I don't know. The important thing is to pay attention to the situation you are in. Let me erase all these over here. If I spend my day talking with kids or young people, they're going to use a different vocabulary than talking with adults all the time. So if this is let's say 100-year-old people, and this is 20-year-old people. I'm going to use different vocabulary for both of these. There's going to be some overlap, like some vocabulary that will be the same for both groups, but there will be some vocabulary that's different. So when you tell people like don't ever use slang ever, it's like, well, it's kind of silly advice. Also, it's important to remember that even if you don't speak, you will hear slang used everywhere. So you will hear it, in movies or radio programs or things like that. So even if you don't use it, it's a good idea to learn it because, if you watch that kind of content or listen to those kinds of things, you will get those examples. All right. So you don't limit yourself for no reason. But obviously the most important thing is think about the everyday life that you have and the English in that life. So if you enjoy watching action movies, then you should get familiar with that vocabulary and really get familiar with it. It's not like, okay, don't learn this vocabulary or that vocabulary. It's what's important for your life. All right. So think about that. I know maybe like Kaufman is trying to give general advice for people about, I'm trying to make it easier for them to learn, but I would be, again, that's like surface level advice. I wanted to give you deeper advice about your life. So think about what you need for your life. Some people don't have any contact with slang at all. Maybe they only read academic papers in English where there really isn't any slang. But you will learn a lot, again, focusing on the information you need for your life. Eamon says hello, and Nathaniel, hello everyone. Melody says, I'm too concerned about grammar, vocabulary, and sentence patterns to speak fluently. My attention is occupied by the concern, how should I do? Yeah, so again, you learned the kind of traditional way, the English as a second language approach, where you're trying to think about a grammar rule in a surface way rather than like doing this. So this is a vocabulary example, but you're also losing, I've said the word lose too many times. You're also using grammar, pronunciation, all of that is included when you learn the native way. All right? So I'm saying lose your temper, lose my temper, lose control. As you hear these, it's like, oh, okay, we're talking about like a verb and a noun or a verb and an adjective or something, but you don't think about it like that. You're just thinking like, oh, okay, this is how you use these words. So I lose money, I lose this, I lose that. It's like, oh, okay, my brain is naturally understanding the grammar without me trying to study a bunch of grammar books. So the more you learn like a native speaker, the faster you get fluent. Okay? And that's for grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, all of it. All right, I think I got that one. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. So I do think connection is a key. It's great. Teacher, I can't understand. Marwa. Yes, well, if this video is already too difficult for you, go to the link in the description for easier content, much easier content. We have this especially for absolute beginners. This would be Frederick, and also the video playlist that we have for absolute beginners, which is also good for people who are still kind of thinking more, even if they know the vocabulary, but they're still continuing to make mistakes, especially basic mistakes. We get that a lot. Actually, a lot of people send us emails. They will have advanced vocabulary in them, but basic mistakes. So these are people who learn the traditional way. They're trying to get a larger vocabulary, but still not really having a really deep native understanding of lots of basic words. Do you have a video on how to link words when speaking? Well, I mean, every video is really about that. That's the thing, like you will find pronunciation videos on our channel, but if you listen to me speaking, you will hear how I blend sounds together. Even when I speak slowly, I'm still blending my sounds like a native. So being fast doesn't make you native. It's really how you blend words together. Blend words, words together. You hear that? Blend words together. So don't look for a specific lesson on that, because almost in the opposite way, it will prevent you from hearing how natives really speak. But if you watch a video like this many times, or a bunch of people talking about something, you will naturally understand the flow of how natives blend words. Blend words. All right? Hater says, is the master program good for beginners? If you mean like Fluent for Life, Master English Conversation, no, I would not recommend that for beginners. But Frederick, I would recommend for absolute beginners. Really, people, a lot of natives, or I guess not natives, but non-natives who are learning will say, I'm a beginner or whatever, and they often don't understand what their level is. And this is a tricky thing to do because fluency is really a collection of different skills working together. So you might know a lot of vocabulary, like our word list over here. You might know many words, but you're not able to use them fluently. So you might have maybe a low level of understanding or a passive vocabulary, but not an active one. Hello from Vietnam, says Peter, and I see you there. I really feel dumb. Why did I think about this before? So cool. You don't have to feel dumb about this. In a weird way, you're doing this already in your native language. The problem is most people don't teach a second language this way because they think you have to do something different because it's like another language. So there's no reason to do that. I don't tell people that there's a second language. I just say there are different languages and you learn them all the same way. There are different languages. So if I'm going to learn French, I will learn it in French like a native speaker. If I'm going to learn German or Italian or whatever the language is, I'm going to learn it like a native speaker. It's just, I don't really know who teaches the languages that way. But if somebody did, like that's how I would learn it. So when I was trying to get fluent in Japanese, I didn't find any lessons that really taught me like that. So I had to make this up myself. So I'm trying to watch kids' TV shows, but I have to also teach myself the vocabulary without really having a teacher to tell me things. So it's a long process when you try to do it yourself. But this is why we created Fluent for Life, just to make it very easy for people. All the information is already there, and you just follow the steps. All right. Okay, I think I answered that one already. All right, Taurus here again, Spectral. I'm using Frederick, but how do I know if I'm pronouncing what I'm hearing correctly? So Frederick is one thing that like you will listen to the words and you can kind of test yourself with your listening rather than your speech. And in the same way that you would learn a new song on the radio, you can actually improve your speech and improve your listening without having someone to check it for you. So you're really trying to make the same sounds the same way you would hear them spoken. And so one thing I do for, if I'm like with a student in a classroom or something, I would test myself listening to those different sounds. So you go to level 3 as an example, and you can just close your eyes and spin the wheels and listen to what sound you get. And see if you know like, that's the letter A or that's the letter O or something, then that will really train your listening, which will automatically improve your pronunciation. So if you want to speak, you can try to get it at the same pitch or the same sound, the same way you would listen to something on the radio. So if I hear a sound on the radio like ding, then I know if I'm saying ding, okay, that's the right note. All right, so I'm not trying to, like, it's going to be more difficult for me to say something maybe directly, but if I can get to that, I call this sound transitioning, where I'm trying to move my mouth or my pitch or something like that to try to hit the sound. But you can probably hear something and copy that same sound the way you do in your native language. So that's how you do it with Frederick. You don't have to spend a lot of time speaking something. You really want your listening to be very good so you know the sound, and your pronunciation will improve automatically. Fanny says, do you give this kind of classes only once a week? I mean live. Lately, it's about once a week, and I sometimes give them on Instagram, and yeah, I like to speak with people because I don't have in-person classes anymore. I haven't taught people in class in years. Only my own children now. Or sometimes people ask me questions about English, and I will teach like lessons, wherever. But because I miss actual teaching, I like to do these videos from time to time. But I've been enjoying doing them lately, so that's why I'm doing them now. Tarek says, I'm sorry if the question was not clear enough. I meant while speaking, how do I switch from focusing on pronouncing the vocabulary correctly? I move on to focus on intonation and melody. Yeah, it sounds like you're thinking too much about the language. Like natives Natives would not spend all this time thinking like, am I worrying about pronunciation or intonation or something like that? They're just listening to what people say in situations and starting to repeat after those things. And the more examples you get, like we have all these examples of lose over here, again, hearing me say that, you will hear the word lose many times in this video, and then you will hear other things as well. And if you hear also like other people, like if you look up, I bet if you go to different YouTube videos right here on YouTube and just look up the word lose, you'll get other pronunciations of that kind of thing as well. But I wouldn't spend so much time, we say you are in your head, you are in your own head, or you are kind of trapped or stuck in your head. So you're overthinking too much, you're like thinking too much or overthinking. So try to relax. The main idea of learning like a native is that instead of translating something, like if I give you a word like play, and I'm going to give you either a definition or a translation of that word, it's not really going to help you understand that. But if you see like a native English speaker in a situation doing something, and you see 10 different people doing that in that same situation, they will talk a little bit differently about it. I made a recent video with some naturally varied review about different people making espresso. It should be the most recent video at this time on the YouTube channel. So if you go there and watch that, you will see, okay, I'm like, all I have to do is really just relax and get lots of input. So don't try to spend too much time thinking about things. The pronunciation and all that will develop naturally. It will improve naturally without you thinking about it, even if you don't speak. All right. The important thing is to get lots of input. It's the input that leads to confidence. All right, because it's understanding that gives you the confidence that lets you speak. So speech is the result. You don't try to learn, play, and go and sit and then try to repeat these words and then think you're going to be a fluent speaker and have good conversations. It doesn't work that way. So you focus on one thing, really learn it well, and then move on to the next. All right. I did. It was a wonderful approach, actually. Yeah, glad to hear it. Yeah. So remember, relax. Take it easy. All the things that people think they think they need to study hard to become fluent, or they think they need to speak a lot to become fluent, or they're really putting pressure on themselves to be correct. One interesting thing you'll notice, if you remember how you learned your native language. So here is you, and this is like anybody watching this video. So when you're thinking about pronunciation, your pronunciation is coming from all these different people. So your dad says something, your mom, your friends, your brothers and sisters, or your teachers, or in the community, people you hear on television. And as you hear all of those, you kind of come to the right sound for your voice. So you will hear each one of these people has a unique sound. Their intonation might be a little bit different. So you don't be so harsh on yourself. The viewers will probably remember that word harsh from the recent video as well. All right. And here's Daniel. Wait a second. Is that Forrest Gump teaching us? Yes. All right. That's why you remind me of Forrest Gump. Yeah. Again, like on a surface level, I do. I mean, you could say a lot of people look like Tom Hanks, but as you get deeper and you compare the two of us, if you spent like an hour or a week or a month like with both of us, you would not think we looked the same at all. You'd be like, oh wow, like these guys look really different. All right, but it's a matter of perspective. So are you learning it in a shallow level or a surface level, or are you going deep and really learning about that well? All right. All right, Rajane, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, you are awesome. Thank you very much. Glad to hear. And again, from Konnichiwa, Elena in Chicago. Greetings from Brazil. This is Dario. I lose my religion. Man, I found your interesting idea. I'm going to give it a try for sure. Glad to hear it. Yeah. All right. I think maybe I got some of those previous ones. Okay. I think I answered those as well. Yeah, so like in general, relax. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to continue speaking or to think about grammar rules and that kind of thing. A lot of people need that advice. All right. It is about the quantity. It is not about the quantity, but about the quality. Yep, that's correct. Jose Baldo. So lose heart meaning lose confidence in something. Yeah, it's like kind of lose confidence, or you don't care about something so much anymore. To lose heart. Yeah. Do we really need slangs? Yeah. Again, it depends. Don't like. People have lots of general questions about this, like what native English should I don't know, watch or whatever. It's like, what do you like? What are you interested in? Try to think about it the same way you would learn your native language. So you don't think about learning Italian or Swahili or whatever. You're just thinking about like, oh, I want to watch a movie about this topic, and that's what you do in English. And there's plenty of content like that. English is really the easiest language on the planet to learn because it's all over the place and it covers almost every topic you'd want to learn about. Perhaps a big difficulty is practice some conversation. No, the difficulty is not more conversation practice. The difficulty is not getting enough input. So people think that they need to like go out and practice speaking, but usually that just means repeating things that they know already. And most of those things are only at a surface level. But if you took two people, one person is learning in the ESL way and one is learning in the EFL way, so learning as English as a first language, then you're going to get a lot more ability to speak about many more topics just by following this approach. But this person will have a very kind of surface ability to speak. They will understand quite a few things, but they will still likely have trouble communicating. Martina says, how to get the most out of a book. Do you have any special tricks, advices? I mean, I would imagine the same kind of thing. Like there are some books I read multiple times, and usually the more you get into a book, again, it's almost everything in life works like this. So you can have a shallow understanding of the book. So let's say I try reading a book and I only look at the table of contents. Okay, so this book is about this, or it has these chapters. I have a very surface level about the book. Or I read the back cover and it says like this book is about this, or the story is about this, or maybe it's nonfiction about, business or something. And so I can get a very surface level, then I can get a deeper level by reading maybe the first paragraph of every chapter. And then I could go deeper, read the whole thing. Then I could go deeper than that and listen to other people talking about the book. Or I could read article reviews about the book. Again, the deeper you go into something, that's where the value comes. So you can get a surface level of something, and it's much better rather than trying to read, like I see people like, how can I read 50 books a year? It's like, why do you care about reading 50 books a year? It's much better to like, if you could read books just because it's 50 books, all right? So don't put pressure on yourself to kind of think in a general way like that. Follow your interest. Best, I use your videos for the past 5 years and try to mimic the way you speak. Now people think I'm a native English speaker. Oh, glad to hear it. Yeah, I think in the future, like as, especially Frederick is getting more popular, like the whole world will start sounding like me. So people will start mimicking my accent. So yes, I'm speaking in a particularly clear way for these videos, and you will see some of the conversations that I have on the channel as well, is me being a bit more relaxed, speaking a bit more how I do naturally. Double comparative grammar you used. Okay. Hello from Hong Kong. I'm very happy to find your channel through the YouTube algorithm. Yes, who knows, bless the YouTube algorithm for getting me to more people. I'm happy to hear that though. Teacher, the most reason for difficulty speaking is less listening or what? No, the reason for difficulty is that people don't know the language as well as they think they do. People don't know the language as well as they think they do. So most learners, they have a surface level understanding of English, not a deep level of understanding. So that's why learners and natives, they communicate in almost a different way. So they just, it's like you're starting from shallow over here and moving to deeper things. So if you just have a vocabulary of 100 words, but you don't really know them very well, you don't feel very confident about them, then of course you will struggle in conversations. But the really great thing about this is, again, all you need is the input. You don't need to spend your time speaking. If you spend your time doing this, you will automatically become a better speaker. all right, because you will feel more confident about using the language. Most learners, even if they know a lot of words and phrases, they still feel unconfident in conversations because they don't really know the language as well as they think they do. So there are some things that maybe they know about quite well and others that they do not, but that's really the main problem. Teacher, I can share the video. Yes, absolutely. So I will make this publicly available on our channel, as I always do after the video is finished, and you can come back and watch it again or share it with others. Maya says, I know how to speak English and I don't know much about some vocabulary. I know how to speak English. Yeah, so again, it's for your level and for your life. Some people don't even need to speak, whatever. Maybe they don't ever talk with native English speakers, or they don't need to use English in everyday life. But often, even just trying to understand movies and TV shows, you will have a lot more fun watching them if you can get lessons that really train you in this. So if you get lessons that take you deeper into the language, that's how you're going to get fluent. All right, Elena, again, konnichiwa, Drew. If I'm not able to talk with you, I would like to meet your dad so I can practice your lessons. Yeah, if you see him around. Yeah, he'll be here. Maybe he and I will do a video when he comes out here. He should be out here next week for the first time ever coming out to see me. Cece says, it is too difficult to pronounce the difference between short vowels and long vowels. For example, ship and sheep. Cece, you can do it. And if you have not downloaded Frederick and installed that on your phone or tablet, do that now. So this is where we actually take you through all of these different pronunciations. And you can do this if you learn it step by step. Again, the problem with a lot of people learning pronunciation is they're learning like random vocabulary. So they would learn like rose, and then big, and then tough. And it's just a bunch of random words when you really should focus and get that naturally varied review. So we want to have you compare different sounds. We want to have you compare like big and bug and bag and beg. See, all these different things, we're focusing on one sound like I. And as you hear these again and again, and just like the advice I gave earlier, if you're playing level 3, you just spin the letters and you can listen like, okay, what sound is that? And then I can focus on these individual things and then learn the difference between the short vowel I, like ship, and the long vowel E as in sheep. But we cover all of these in the app. All right, so ship, sheep, and then you're even learning the difference between like EE and EA. All right, so we might have like SHEET, like sheet, sheet, sheet. All right. All right. Let's see. All right, I think I got caught up again. All right, Particle says, hello from Java, Indonesia. I am now listening to the English language. Yes, glad to hear. I'm so harsh, actually, as I am a teacher. Yes, I know how you feel. This is a common thing with teachers as well. Pratik said, do you provide paid classes? Yes, we do, of course. So if you look at the links in the description below this video, you can learn more about Fluent for Life and Frederick as well. Tarsi, you're special. What if I can't make a specific sound? For example, I can't say cull. I can say call and cool, but cull doesn't come right out. I can hear the difference. Yeah, in that case, I would again use sound transitioning, where I'm just trying to, I would repeat a sound like from the sound you can make to the sound you cannot make. So if the problem is like call, and I want to say cull, then I'm experimenting with my voice and the shape of my mouth to try to find that sound. So it might take some time, especially if the sound is not in your language. Like in Japanese, they don't have L and R. These are not in Japanese, so they can't pronounce like, I don't know, lots of, like lice and rice are the same word in Japanese if you're pronouncing it in English. But if we have call and cull, so let's say I can't pronounce cull. Let me get up close over here. So call, call. I'm just moving my mouth around and still trying to produce a sound so I can hear the difference. And if I move my mouth like this, like, wow. So I'm still making the same sound, but I'm just moving my mouth in a different way to try to hear, okay, if I can make that sound, because you say you can make the sound. And so again, you don't want to just like make a sound, you want to try to transition from one thing to another. So call, all. So I can hear when the difference comes, like like the comes a lot more in here. But you will feel this. It's much more difficult for a teacher to like tell you how to do it. Hey, put your tongue like this, and it's much easier for you to feel this by comparing the different sounds. All right. Also, I would practice like going back to these individual things. If you have trouble, it might be like the all sound versus and we compare both of these in Frederick also. But if you can say a word like bug and a word like bag, you can get the sound from that. So you take the sound where you can pronounce it and then practice it for where you have trouble. So if you can say bug, bug, then you can move to bag, bug, and then call, cull, all right, so you can watch somebody, but it's much easier if you just try to transition your voice. So try moving like where you feel the vibration or the sound of your mouth or where your tongue is, and you will get it. But these are two different ways you can do that. All right, so Tarek, again, I hope you can make a live on diphthongs and digraphs. So Tarek, just get Frederick. We cover all of that in there. It's the best way to learn all of that stuff. So we go from the alphabet all the way up to difficult words like synthesis and apocalypse. But we cover everything like vowel digraphs, diphthongs, and it's all in the app. Just click on the link below this video. Lucas, is it best to try to understand the words in a video without reading the subtitles or reading them? It's either one is okay, and you can make it easier when you're just starting. It's more of a challenge, or you're testing yourself to see if you understood a word. But that's a good way to do that. You can do it either way. It's not like one is good and the other is not. But usually if I'm trying to learn something new, unless I am just testing myself for fun, I want to spend more time like reading something to make sure I really understand that. So especially even some things now, children's programs that I watch in Japanese, I still need to get read some subtitles. It's like, oh, that's what they're saying? And I'll be surprised by that. It just means like I'm not quite hearing it the way I should be hearing it, or they're not saying it clearly or something. But usually when I read it, it's like, okay, it makes it clearer. So in that way, when I'm trying to learn something, I'd rather learn it faster and just understand what they say, and then try to connect with the pronunciation there. Then maybe I would test myself later. All right. And Rejane, let me know if that's Rejane or Rejane, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But you can put your pronunciation in the comment as well. Make sure I say it correctly. Most of the time I feel shy when I'm speaking English. I feel uncomfortable about my accent. Yeah, so again, the more time you spend listening to natives speaking, the more you will feel confident about your accent. Your listening will improve as well. But often, like isolating these particular sounds like we do in Frederick, that will help you a lot. And again, this is how you can compare these different sounds and really hear them. So you're spinning these different wheels and testing different letter combinations. So you want to make sure first that you can hear things very well. And that could be also just natives speaking about things. But if you can do that, like I just mentioned in the previous comment about testing yourself. So when you're listening to things like this, it's helpful to get lots of different input, and you will feel much more confident about that. So especially people who listen only to a very clear teacher, you don't have to model your speech on my speech or any other teacher you see. You can just listen to lots of different natives, and then you will find your own voice and feel more confident about that. But don't worry about trying to be perfect, because everybody has a slightly different way of pronouncing things. All right, good, thanks. Thank you. My level is B1, but it's not improving. Then I would go deeper into the language. It usually means that you don't know the language as well as you think you do. So people who know the language, it's like, what do you mean by know? What do you mean by that? How well do you know the language? Do you know it like, if I just teach you the word lose, okay, what does that mean? Okay, it's like the opposite of win. All right, but can you use all of these examples of lose? That's the difference. All right. So this is usually the issue for people. And remember that you don't really get fluent in a language. You get fluent in vocabulary as you learn it well. So when you spend a lot of time learning lose and you hear all of these different examples, you will feel more confident about that. But you can say you're getting fluent in the word lose. And this can happen very quickly. And as you get fluent in more words and phrases and grammar, then you will feel more confident in the language itself. But again, don't try to be like fluent in the language. Focus on getting fluent in vocabulary by spending more time with it. All right, teacher looks just like Forrest Gump actor Tom Hanks. You guys are funny. See, I knew this would happen. So even if I make a video specifically talking, like the title of the video is Tom Hanks, like people will still think I'm looking like Tom Hanks. All right, Weibo again. Do you think learning collocations will help us with fluency? Yep, absolutely. These are all collocations right here. Again, collocations really just mean it's like word patterns. And this is part of developing your memory as well as your fluency. But yeah, absolutely, collocations will help you. So you can find words like this, like even if you're trying to learn something like lose, if you look up collocations with lose, then you will find lots of examples like this. So very, very simple stuff. Again, naturally varied review is what I recommend, and this is one way of doing that. All right, next, what is the best way to learn new words? Do I need to make flashcards or write in a notebook? Number one, I would say I would not worry about trying to learn new words. I would focus on vocabulary you already know and really try to understand that very well. All right, so if you want to learn new words, that's fine. But if you should only be learning new words if your current vocabulary is already something you can use fluently. If you can use it fluently, great, then learn new words. But I would usually just focus on when you are learning new words, you would pick a topic that you're interested in and then learn more about that. So if I like fixing cars, I would watch different videos or read articles or listen to radio programs about fixing cars. And I would learn a lot of vocabulary naturally that way, and I would really understand that. All right. Okay, I got that. All right, Mr. Morrow, teacher, I'm kidding with you, sorry. All right, but from a store, the actor's physiognomy looks good. All right, glad to hear it. And I'm not mad about that. I mean, like, if people think I look like Tom Hanks, I don't think that's insulting or whatever. It's okay. All right, Lionheart again. Why I understand you and other teachers online, but don't understand movie and TV reporters and such like that. Again, I'm speaking particularly clearly, and I imagine most of the people who are trying to teach English, and it could be reading articles or listening to things on, whatever, BBC, Learning English or whatever. All of those things are going to give you the basic, very clear English that you hear in a regular classroom lesson, but it's a different language than what you have in a real conversation. So if you can understand me, but you can't understand that higher level, you need to go up to that level in basic steps. This is what we do in Fluent for Life. So we don't try to get you from like here to here, the higher level, in one step. The point is to give you lots of this kind of input. And so you can really feel something, you read something, you listen to it, you watch it, you write it down, you get lots of different input from different speakers, you're hearing about things in different ways, getting native examples of things. All of these things are going to improve your fluency. But again, the basic reason is because it's really a different language. It's a faster speed, usually more blended speech, mumbled together, and also you've got all the native vocabulary like slang and weird contractions and other things that aren't really correct English, but everybody uses them anyway. All right. Bridge says, you are an amazing educator. Thank you very much. Lucas again, let's see. When I start watching new content, I feel that it's very difficult to understand this conversation. And when I stay watching about the topics that I already know about, even if it's by natives, I can understand. Yeah, so that, again, that just proves the more you spend time with something, of course, it's like a new thing. Like if you go to a new school, everything is new. You're overwhelmed by all the new information, the new people, new situations, new places you can go. But if you spend more time each day, it becomes more familiar. That's the point. It's like you want to make the language familiar. You want to become very deeply familiar with the language. And don't put pressure on yourself to try to learn everything. This is why I made a video recently about what was the title of that video? It's like how to speak fluently about almost anything. And that's like you're doing the opposite of what you really should do to learn. So you notice how I focus on just one word, but I'm actually learning a lot of vocabulary connected with this. And this will allow me to talk about different things. I can talk about losing money, losing friendships, losing like my, desire to do something. So all of these just because I'm focusing on one word. And so now all of these different situations, I can speak fluently in them, at least using just this vocabulary. So when you focus on one thing, it actually it increases the ability of things or the breadth that you can speak about. So you can speak about way more things even if you're just focusing on one. All right. Angel Heart, you are the best teacher in the world. I like you so much, so I always imitate your pronunciation. Thanks a lot for the efforts. Oh, well, I don't know about the best teacher in the whole world. I'm just trying to do something different, really helping people understand like a native, but thank you. Tarsier, that's spectral. See, I couldn't even read that. I'm sorry. I was saying Tarsier special. And it's like this font is so tiny over here. I feel like an old man trying to read this. So it's Tarsier spectral, pardon me. To go deeper on a word, do you Google that word to see how it's used so you can see how it's used in different sentences? Yeah, I would. I mean, you can go deeper into a word like that, and I would try to focus on. It could be articles or YouTube videos or something if you're just trying to do this by yourself and focus on one word. But a little bit maybe more fun, easy way to do it would be starting with a topic or a specific activity. So making a birthday cake. So how to make a birthday cake, you will learn a lot of like specific vocabulary about that thing, and you will be more interested in the lesson. So I'm just giving you one example of how this is, and it's much easier to do this with a teacher who can kind of explain things and make sure you understand it very well. That's like the main value of Fluent for Life, because you can choose the particular topics you're interested in, and I walk you through it all. There's like, I don't know, hundreds of hours of content in it. It's some like incredible amount of content. But again, you can choose it and you have a teacher, but if you're doing it by yourself, it's probably better to focus on a particular topic rather than just like a word by itself. You will just become more emotionally interested in it. So watch that recent video about making espresso if you have not watched that already, and it will give you an example of that. Salim again, are there any books that you can recommend to us to read in order to enhance our vocabulary? Again, this is the same question. If you're interested in something, read that book. It could be a magazine or it could be videos or whatever. So I can't give you the best advice for your situation. Just think about what your interests are. What do you do in your native language? So if you are an Italian speaker or an Arabic speaker or Portuguese or whatever your language is, what do you learn about? What do you like doing? So if you say, oh, well, I like pets, or I want to have a pet turtle or something, or you have some goldfish or something. So you like learning about how to take care of that animal. Just do that in English. It's that simple. You're just doing the things you would normally do. If you like watching videos about video games, then watch videos about video games in that language. Watch it in English. So for me, like I like, I'll use video games as an example. I could watch a video in English about video games, or I could watch a video in Japanese about video games or something like that. All right. So whatever that thing is, I can watch that in two different languages, and I would watch not one video, but like a bunch of different videos about people talking about that thing. it just becomes a little bit more difficult because I have to teach myself and figure out, sometimes I have to look up the vocabulary or something because I don't have a teacher helping me do it, but it's possible to do. All right, Regina, yes, you're pronouncing my name very well. Thank you for your explanation. I'll try not to push myself too much. Yes, good idea. How important is it to learn slang? People are really interested in slang in this video. It's only important if it's important for your life. For your life. Don't worry about what another teacher says about like slang is good or slang is bad. Like those are like this is part of the problem with teaching on YouTube. And it's not even teaching on YouTube specifically, but just like education in general. So if I make a YouTube video that's like you see the thumbnail, the picture for the YouTube video, and it says like slang is bad. Never learn slang, and I'm basically trying to scare you so you watch the video. This is how human psychology works. So you're more like, oh no, I shouldn't use slang. This is why you see so many videos that are like don't say no. Don't say no. Why not? People use no all the time. Well, it's stupid advice. Don't say no. It's like actually, you want to be more nuanced about it. So think about your life. So what is the best content for your life? I should just make that video. What is like watch this content for your life, but you have to think about what that is. So focus on the thing that you need for your life. If you need, you're a doctor and you need specific vocabulary for that, watch doctor videos about that stuff or read articles or whatever, but just do it in English. Salim again, I speak the language every single day, native speakers and non-natives, but I'm still stuck in one level. Yeah, then I would just go, it's probably you are using more basic speech instead of feeling comfortable with more advanced stuff. And the only way you do that is to spend time getting more input. So you don't have to speak to do this, and you can start impressing more people, especially if you already speak English every day. You can impress way more people if you just spend a little bit of time each day learning more. So rather than trying to, again, learn more, go deeper into the language rather than trying to just learn more random vocabulary. Bridge again, I'm from India. You are really awesome, different style to make us understand. Yep, glad to hear it. Lucas Enrique DJ again. Do you think there is a difference in efficiency between just listening and listening plus watching when getting input? Absolutely, there's a difference in that, and that's why even in Fluent for Life, you spend some time just watching and some time only listening. You're going to get it's kind of like there's different ways to think about this, but if you close your eyes, your hearing is going to get more sensitive. Because now you're, okay, I'm closing my eyes or I close my nose, I can't smell anything. Now my ears are really going to listen carefully to what's happening in the environment. But also, if I'm trying to understand something, it's much easier if I get more, using more senses to understand something. Just like I gave the example before about tasting something. So rather than trying to explain what an orange tastes like, I just give you an orange and you taste it. And children, when they're learning, they're hearing vocabulary and they're seeing things at the same time. So they're making a connection between one or the other. If I put a blindfold on my children, if they were blind, it would be much more difficult to explain what things are. It's much easier for them to just see something, all right? But when I'm trying to practice that thing, sometimes I just should listen, or sometimes I should write that thing, all right? So take your time and do try to learn things in different ways, but you should, as much as possible when you're learning, use all your senses. Use everything you can. Let's see. Oh, my name is Somali. Oh, it just says Salim. Oh, okay. I don't read it all. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. All right. Matt says, appreciate your work, brother. Wishing you from a hellscape of San Francisco. Yes, I'm kind of watching things unfold in San Francisco. Now, I hear you can go into a store and steal up to $1,000 worth of merchandise and not go to jail for that. That's incredible. Are they still doing that? Are they still allowing that? I haven't been back to San Francisco in years. I really like, I like the city. I always thought it was a nice place. I like the feel of it, but I don't think I would live there now. But now that it's a hellscape, oh my goodness. All right, let's see. If I'm going to pronounce this. I always have like trouble with these kind of French sounding names. Let's see. Roucoups. Forgive me if I mispronounce that. Do you think it's okay to stop working 1 year just to have enough time to learn English intensively on the internet and by watching movies? That's an interesting question. It depends. Actually, I think the better thing to do would be like get a job using English. So you can do, it's more about like forcing yourself, or not forcing yourself, but putting more like real English environment or real English content in your life. So if you can do things that will, again, give you more, like if I go to Japan, but I can still learn the native way and I understand things, that would be better than me watching videos online. So it's possible. The problem is most people would go to a different country and not actually learn like a native. So it depends on what your job is. If you don't use any English at all for your job, then maybe it's a good idea to do that if you can, take time to do that. But just make sure you learn like a native, however you're learning. All right. I think we got to the end. All right, beautiful. And the Tarsier back. So if you watch a video on a topic, would you write down the new vocabulary you just heard? Yeah, some of it. And then I would watch more videos about that same topic. Maya, again, I'm trying to study English, but I feel lazy. Why this happens? Yeah, so probably the biggest problem with, and this would probably be a good, oh my goodness, it's already been like an hour and a half doing these videos. You guys always keep me on for a long time. So the major problem people have is like, I'll just like write this down for everybody. So this is like the major problem. All right, so to become fluent, you must review. All right, I think everybody agrees with that. I didn't write it very clearly, but this is to become fluent, you must review. To become fluent, you must review. So this is number one. Number two, here's the problem. But review is boring. All right, so the human mind, your brain is naturally interested in new information all the time. You go to a new place, ooh, what's new? It's like the news every day. Like we call it the news. The news. We don't want to know about what's old. We don't watch the olds. We watch the news. We want to know what's new. So if there's new information, our brain is always interested in that. And when we see something again and again, it gets boring. We're just not interested in that. We lose interest. There's that word lose again. We lose interest in that vocabulary. To lose interest. So you begin, it's like, ooh, it's new vocabulary. And as you review it again and again, I'm losing interest. I'm becoming less interested over time, losing interest. All right? So if we need to review, but review is boring, how do we solve that problem and get fluent? That's a 3. I can't even write a number. So we need naturally varied review. Naturally varied review. Naturally varied review, like the example I gave before, we're focusing on one word like lose, but we're going to hear it in many different contexts and see how people would use it in different ways. All right, that's one example. Or we would hear one word spoken by different native speakers. Okay? Those are 2 examples of naturally varied review. So the point is to review, but you need to hear it in different ways, from different speakers, at different speeds, in different time periods. So you're understanding the grammar naturally, rather than trying to study a bunch of words. All right? So in order to get fluent, like it's boring if you learn something and just repeat the word again and again. You will lose interest over time. But if you get naturally varied review, you're reviewing something in different ways. And another way we did that is with that naturally varied review video I did on making espresso. So we have 4 different people making espresso. And so you can hear how sometimes they're using the same words, sometimes they're using different vocabulary, but that's how you get fluent, all right? So you have to review to get fluent. But if you just repeat something again and again, there's a lot of reasons why that's bad, but the biggest reason is that it's boring to your mind. So you have to get varied review, all right? It's very simple. So to become fluent, you must review. Review is boring, so we need to get naturally varied review. All right. So if you want to become fluent, this is what you must do. Some people like they can like review again and again, like they put a lot of pressure on themselves to do that, and those are like like really good students or whatever. If you can do that, that's great. Most people cannot. All right. But even if you can do this, even if you can repeat the same thing again and again, conversations are not like this. Conversations are dynamic. You can't just like hear the same word again and again because you will hear lots of different things in a real conversation. Okay? So even if I repeat something, okay, class, let's repeat. So it's the same teacher, same voice, you're hearing something. It's very, very limited for the real world. Like the real world is like this, but the classroom lesson is like this. It's giving you a very, very limited amount of vocabulary in a limited way. And it doesn't really help you use it fluently. So you have to make it easy for yourself. You want to make the process easy, make it fun. That's how you get fluent. All right. And now this is the same way you're getting fluent in your native language right now. You are learning new words. There's like new words and things like that coming in radio or on the internet or wherever you're learning vocabulary. But even in your native language, that's how you're learning. So make it fun, make it easy. All right. Let's see. Rehane. Now I forgot if I pronounced it correctly or not. You said I pronounced it correctly, but I said like a couple different. I said a couple different ways. I'm going to say Rehane because your last name is a Becerra, and I don't know if I'm putting like a Spanish like flavor on that, but I can't. Let me see your picture. Yeah, I can't tell. All right. Please talk about your classes. You mean like Fluent for Life? It's easier just to click on the link in the description, but it talks about this process. So you need to review to get fluent, and you need to understand you basically need to understand the language like a native, and this is how you do it. So if you'd like to do that, that's what we do in Fluent for Life. But everything is already written down, so you can learn about the whole process if you click on that. You can also learn more about Frederick, which is another class. It's basically you're teaching yourself listening and pronunciation and vocabulary and basic grammar all by yourself. And so you can do that with Frederick, and you can click on the link in the description to learn more about that. All right. George, or is that Jorge, says, thank you very much. Glad to hear it. Saludos desde Peru. Peru. Maybe from Peru. If I'm pronouncing that, rolling off. Sajaz is, wow, sir, glad to hear it. And Mr. Miles is C, you are fabulous. Salima, try again and again. One day you'll be needed. Do you think the part of speech is important in English? Well, yeah, but it's like asking if pronunciation or grammar is important. It's all important. But the point is to learn it like a native rather than like a student. So if I'm thinking about grammar rules, I don't really understand what I'm saying. I really want to understand what's happening in a conversation, and it begins usually. I give a lot of vocabulary lessons rather than grammar because this is more people are really interested in learning more words, but number two, it's a little bit easier to just show them like that. But if I'm trying to teach grammar, it works the same way, where I'm giving you we're talking about one thing, but I'm going to tell you a story in different time periods, so you would hear the difference and understand it naturally. So if I'm teaching my children and we learn like go and went, all right? So I go to school in general, but yesterday I went to a store. And so, okay, we know go becomes went, but I don't think about it like that. It's just they understand how it works because they've heard it many times, and they connect the vocabulary with the situation. So you don't try to connect vocabulary with rules or try to connect vocabulary with a translation or definition. You want to understand the situation. When are people saying words? And that's when you understand it like a native. let's see. So regarding the R in English, perfect. Read with the R. Arrejane, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yes. See, it's hard when you're trying to do it with text. Can I become fluent if I learn English by myself? Absolutely. Yep, that's the whole point of this video is you can become fluent by yourself because fluency comes from understanding the language really well. And then when you get into a conversation, you will feel more confident and you will start speaking. So I noticed this, like when I learn new things in Japanese, most of my time is spent. So if I learn a new word, let's say, I don't know, this is like, I don't know, one day, just as an example. So one day, most of my time will be getting review, and then finally over here I speak. I would say the word, whatever that is. I gave an example of this recently. What was that word I learned? What was that? I can't remember now. I remember the vocabulary, but I can't remember the specific situation. But this happens. This happens to me every day. I'm just trying to think of a specific example. What was that? Okay, here's an example. So this is one I sent to people, like email subscribers, maybe 3 weeks ago or something. So I knew the word like chikao in Japanese, means like to vow something or whatever, but like I had heard it and I knew the word, so I had like a surface level, and I'd never really used it in a conversation before. But then I read it a few different times in a book and in different context in the book. And then finally it clicked for me because I'd heard it a few times, and it was like, like I swear to God. So that's how I would say it in English, but it was like kami ni chikaimasu. Like kami ni chikatte. So if I'm speaking Japanese and like using it in that way. And so I had learned it, and I basically became fluent in that vocabulary as I learned it. And then finally, I used it with my wife later that day. She asked me when I came back from work, she said, "Hey, did you wash your hands?" I said, "Yeah, I washed my hands." And she looked at me like, "I don't believe you." And I was like, "Kami ni chikatte." Like, I swear to God I did it. So the Japanese just came out. Okay? So you spend, this is when you get fluent like a native, this is how you're doing it. You spend most of your time just getting more input until you feel like, I really get it now. That's the goal. And again, amazing thing is you can do it by yourself. So you don't need to spend time practicing. And when you finally do speak, you will feel confident about what you say. Oh my goodness. Got about 1 minute left. So you have any final comments over here? Can I become... Okay, I learned that one. And Slim again, I have requirement English proficiency for my university. I feel too much stress and wasting my time in EL classes. What advice do you think IELTS exam will help me? Last question. It depends on how much time you have and like when you need to do something. I would do whatever for a test that you need to do. Just try to memorize the vocabulary. But if there's no speaking part, then do that. If you actually have to speak, like learn how I'm showing you over here. Enrique says, thanks for a lot for, I guess, sharing. I just came to attend the class here. Glad to hear it. Hi. Actually, most videos that promote never say this are not realistic, as native speakers use them all the time, actually. Yes. Again, it's really interesting if you look at the timeline. So I've been teaching on YouTube for 13 years now. Man, that's a long time. So I started my channel and people are like, "Man, Drew, you're losing your hair." I said, "Well, yeah, I'm getting older. You know, it happens." But to watch like the beginning videos many years ago, it's like, learn this phrase. And of course, over time, like the internet marketing and like that kind of stuff gets into it, and it's like never learn this phrase, and I'm guilty about this too. I have to like get pretty good about making videos, but my challenge to myself is like, how can I make a crazy title, but actually like follow that up with a good video? Because I don't have advertising on my videos. So the big difference between me and a lot of the channels you see is I do not have any advertising that I think YouTube might force me to do that for some things, but you'll notice there should be like little or no advertising on my videos, because either people watch my content and join my programs or whatever, and I'm doing a good job, or I don't eat. So it's a big difference for that stuff. All right, Sajad or Sahad again. Salima approached me. Okay, all right. Pronounce plural to pronounce the R. Plural. Video is loading. So funny, I love it. It's like you said the first time. It's like the R for red, for rose, or repeat. Okay, all right. Thanks for trying. All right, let's see. And Tarzia Spectro again, if I heard a word and want to learn more, what would I do? It's like say the word I heard is irascible. That's a good word. What videos would I look for? Type the word irascible into, go to Youglish, actually Youglish, youglish.com, if you want to find specific vocabulary like that, but it will give you examples of that in YouTube videos, if you want just a specific word you want to focus on. All right, I think that's it though. Hopefully this makes sense. Remember, really the secret, simple secret, the truth about fluency, just go deeper into the language, whatever it is you're trying to learn. Focus on that particular thing. It could be vocabulary or grammar or a topic, but really get comfortable with that, and then you will feel confident using it. It's that simple. All right, you can do this all by yourself. Oh no, loading. I don't know if it's saying my video is loading right now or not. I don't know, but the comments are still coming in. That's weird. Is the video still coming in? Can you like hear me live? Am I live? Hopefully I am. I'm done with the video anyway, but hopefully you all have enjoyed this and it's not just running, I don't know, loading or whatever. But hopefully you all have enjoyed this, and I will see you next in the next video. Click on the link in the description. You can find that more about Fluent for Life, and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.